Ready? Let's do it.
Wait. It was like choking me. Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Looks weird.
Let's do it.
Welcome to
Pancakes on a Wednesday.
You're gonna do it deeper.
I felt like that was pretty deep.
It was deep.
That was a deep throat.
Dang, whore. That was so uncalled for.
It's just, I was at the strip club this morning.
Yeah, you were. Corey had glitter all over his face this morning. Probably still has it. Yeah, it's still there. Yeah.
I can take the boy out of Vegas. Can't take Vegas out of the boy.
Yeah. And he was doing the splits, the mega splits at CrossFit this morning.
Yeah.
I don't know what he'd be doing at night.
Sleepy. All right.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Today's topic is turning your trauma into your triumph. And so this has been kind of hard to talk about. Not that it's hard to talk about. It's just,
we've talked about it a lot, and it's a deep story. And we don't really want to drag on it, but it's hard to leave parts out because everything seems so. You did?
Yeah.
Everything seems so necessary. So
yeah, to try to condense it into a small format it's a little difficult. Also, I feel like sometimes when you tell your story, some people take it the wrong way. I don't tell my story to get sympathy at all. And if you do tell your story to get sympathy, then
you're stupid.
You're fucking tard. But you should tell your story to empower others, or if somebody's asking to where did you get there? How did you get there? How did you get through all this? You could be like, hey man, let's move the fuck on.
The point of sharing is to let other people know that either they're not alone or to inspire them. Like, this is how close he came to death. And through what we truly believe is positive thinking and positive mindset, he pulled through it. And we want to help people know, like, you can change your story.
You sure can. So our story started so I'd been fighting for a few years on the amateur level, and I fought twice as a pro, and then I had an opportunity to fight on a big card for LFA, which at the time was a feeder market for UFC. And it was before this fight ever took place. It was a conversation between Samantha and I where I was limbo between doing my own thing in marketing and wanting to fight for real and, be my main source of income. And not that it wasn't about the money. I liked the competition and I just loved everything about MMA. It was one of those things that every single day, didn't matter how better you got, you were challenged.
And I also asked you if you could do absolutely anything and don't think about the money, what would you do? And that's what it was at the time.
Yeah. And so I had this opportunity and I took it. And everything leading up to the fight was great. Samantha and the family came out with me, and we had a great road trip and everything. And then the fight happened, and it was a weird hit that got me right in the abdomen. And it's usually the gallbladder that erupts, but in this case it was my pancreas that lacerated. And it was weird because your pancreas is in a spot in the back. It's in your retroperitoneal space.
Yeah, people know this. It's behind your organs.
It's where your kidneys are, and it's protected by the rest of your organs and all your muscle and everything. And immediately I felt like shit, and the rest of the night I felt like shit. Samantha had made this great crock pot roast, and I couldn't even eat it. As soon as we go back to the hotel room, that's when it started. I just began vomiting, and
it was like in the bushes, barfing. Didn't even make it to the room.
No. And then I barely slept that night. One, because I was in a lot of pain. Two, Bodie was fussy that night. So it was a combination of of baby and pain. And then we went to her brother's house in, where's he live? Marietta, California. And the next day she just, I hadn't pooped or peed for a few hours, like 24 hours. And every time I felt like I had to go pee, it just didn't come out. So I thought something else was wrong, maybe my bladder or something. And I was sitting outside. I was trying to drink a beer, and Samantha's like, you should call the promotion and see if you can go to the hospital. So I did, and I did. And we went to the hospital, and they did a CT scan and saw that there was a small millimeter, like 3 millimeter laceration, but it was enough to fuck me up because my duct, and well, we didn't know this at first, but eventually in 2019, we found out that my duct had been lacerated. So that's why.
Like very deadly.
Yeah. So there's a duct that runs from your duodenum, which where it meets your stomach, and it runs across. So your duct is here, and right in the middle is where it lacerated. So from the time I was injured to when we found out that my duct was actually lacerated was about a year, a little over a year. So I was in and out of the hospital several times. Summerlin Hospital nearly killed me twice. After we got out of the hospital in California, we went back home, which getting out of the hospital in California was pretty hard because they wanted to keep me there for observation and this and that. And I was like, hey, I don't.
It was bad, but we don't live there. So they did what they could, and they, discharged him.
Yeah.
But said, if he feels bad, go directly to the emergency room in Vegas.
Yeah. And I had every intention of doing that, except for I'm hard-headed. And we got home, and I went once, and they did a check and said I was fine, came back. And then a few days later, I looked pale. I hadn't eaten in days. I hadn't used the bathroom in days. And Samantha looked at me and she said, "You look like death. You should go to the hospital." And because, again, I'm hard-headed, I said,
I'll go in the morning.
If I don't feel good tomorrow, I'll go tomorrow.
I was like, anyway,
and
get the fuck in the car.
Pack your shit. We're going to the hospital
now. And yeah, I got the kids. You got your... He hobbled.
shoveled to the car, and I jumped in, and then we get to the hospital, and this is like the third time I'd been to Summerlin. And, I go in, they're like, "What's the problem?" I was like, "Same problem, worse." I'm like, all right. So mind you, I'd already taken them my CT scans from the first hospital. So they knew that there was a laceration in my pancreas and knew that this was the problem. So they put me in a bed in the hallway in the back of the ER, and we were there for hours. The kids are out front. Samantha's dealing with them. She's also trying to deal with me, and she's also trying to get me serviced by the hospital. And she happened to be back there as this doctor walks by, who wasn't even my doctor, and just walked by, and he was like, looked at me, looked at her. Is he normally that color? And she said, "No, he needs help." So this doc was like, "Hey, we need to get him in a room, and we need to run every fucking test that we have in this hospital on this guy right now, because he looks like he's dead." And they did. And they found out that my liver, my kidneys were failing. And
going septic or whatever.
Yeah, I was going septic, and I had bile buildup in my stomach. So it was a mess of things going on. So they had to put a nasal tube down my throat, and I sat in that room until like 5 o'clock in the morning, where they finally got me upstairs, and then it got real bad.
They took you to the ICU.
Yeah, they took me to ICU because it got real bad. I had to take
the kids home. And Bodie was a year. By then he was...
No.
Wait, this is the first
Yeah, this
time.
is 18.
Sorry, this is...
Yeah, he's a few months.
Yeah, he was 2 months old.
Yeah.
And so I had to take them back and try and get some sleep. And a couple of friends, Tommy, came out and stayed with Corey and kept me updated. And then, we had so many people helping out. I went back in the morning to ICU, and he had tubes coming out of his nose, sucking bile because the tube went down to his stomach. So it was sucking bile out of his stomach. And then he was also vomiting whole.
Because they shoved like 1 million pounds of antibiotics.
Yeah, but I think you were vomiting because your body was also trying to get rid of the bullshit in your stomach. Yeah. So he was really sick and looked like shit and was like immediate, like so much weight loss and destruction in no time. And so the ICU doctor said, if we need him to relax and his body to relax enough to heal itself, because the body wants to heal and it's built to heal. The ICU doctor was telling me our bodies are built with everything that it needs. So if anything, they would put him on such a large dose of Dilaudid?
Pain meds.
Just pain meds. That his body would shut down and they would keep him alive on a ventilator and allow his body to just do its thing. So they basically they doused him with all the pain meds, but he didn't like die temporarily. He stayed with us. And in that time I was talking to my friend Breezy and Melanie. And I said, I'm going to ask him to marry me because he's all romantic and that's his thing. And I'm his dream girl. So I'm going to go with the love aspect and I'm going to save him. Well, I mean, our love would do the trick. So I went in and I asked him if he would marry me. He was like, it wasn't even like shocked.
I did the best I could at being excited.
Of course.
I mean, I was excited.
But he
100% I was excited. I was
weak,
stoned, and
is this a dream?
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on.
This is really happening. So I got a pastor. Breezy brought a pastor, and Melanie came. She was so sweet. She brought like wedding dresses, but I'm weird, so I didn't wear them. But it was so sweet of her. Breezy brought rings and the pastor, and he married us that night in the hospital with our friends. They cheered and we got in trouble and we said, but we just got married. So everybody was like, oh, okay, it's fine. Cause you're not allowed to have a whole bunch of people in ICU.
Yeah. In ICU. Cause I was sick and
there's other sick people down there. Yeah. And, the kidney specialist came in and said that his kidneys were doing really good. Like 10 minutes after the ceremony that we had. And I was like, see, love conquers all. So he started doing really good after that. Not like great, but enough to
enough for them to take me downstairs to the regular rooms.
I don't know why you say downstairs. ICU is downstairs and the regular rooms
are upstairs. That's right. The regular rooms are upstairs. Whatever.
Yeah.
They moved me.
Yeah. He went upstairs and wasn't great there. They gave him they overdosed him on antibiotics, so it gave him
C.
diff. So I had to walk in all bundled
if you've
up.
never had C. diff, don't get C. diff.
It's gross.
All ends, same simultaneous combustion out of
spewing.
Every orifice. That's how you know you got a real one. For real. If she'll hold the bucket while you're not only hold the bucket, but she has to come from home to bring you new pants because you soiled yourself, and she holds the bucket while you're trying to put your pants on, but it's still coming out of both ends. And she didn't run off; she actually dove right in. So I mean,
I gagged a few times.
She gagged. She didn't like it. It was not her favorite moment.
No, but
I was like, yeah,
nothing scares me
for sure.
So yeah.
But after that, I started to get better, and we went back and forth with these doctors. I had like 6 specialists and a main doctor. Wow. And it was just, nobody was communicating with each other. The specialists weren't telling the doctor wasn't telling us, but I was dying and nobody knew what was going on. And I was yelling at them. Samantha's yelling at them. At one point, my dad called and yelled at them. And I
wasn't yelling. I just got a little aggressive. I don't yell. I just get mean.
Okay. She got mean with them. I yelled at them. I don't even know if it was my doctor. I think it was like a pickup shift doctor or something. like the day before they sent me home. So they were waiting on insurance to give me a PICC line. That way I can go on home health care. And nobody was talking to the insurance. Again, no one was communicating. So this lady comes in and
But I asked the doctor that was overseeing you, I said, do you have a plan for him? And he's like, well, I'm not sure what to do with him. And that's all he kept telling me. So that's the doctor I took outside your room. And I said, give him a fucking plan or send him home. Like, you can't just let the guy sit here and rot away, because sitting in the hospital, your vitals were just tanking.
Yeah. So what they did is they put a PICC line in my arm. And it's just a long IV that goes in one of your main veins. And it just dumps. And they hooked it up to a bag. And I was on fluids for forever. And I had to like inject medicine there and all this other stuff. And
he ate from a tube for
PPN,
6 weeks.
Yeah.
And what were those little drinks, those old people drinks you got
Ensure.
to Ensure. You got to drink Ensures.
No, that was the year next.
Oh.
Hey, you're skipping, babe.
I know, but I'm pretty sure you couldn't just go to food.
The first meal I had after we got out of the hospital the first time was the fish broth.
Yeah, that's so weird. I don't remember that. But anyways, okay.
It was so good. It was probably the fish. I mean,
he was delusional on drugs, and I was delusional because I was
tired,
raising a.
So I got home, and so I wish I remembered the count. There was a count where, it showed an infection, and this count was significantly high. It was in like the hundreds of thousands, and it was only supposed to be like triple digits. And immediately it dropped to like 16,000. I remember that was the first number that she had tested, and she's like, "Oh, you're doing really good."
As soon as he got home.
As soon as I was at home for 2 days, they came and they tested me the second day, and I got the results on the third day, and they're like, "Wow, your levels are significantly increasing and getting better." And then, we started going outside a lot because I was still on the antibiotics. I had to hook it up to my TPN or to my PICC line, and it was making me sick. So instead of doing the antibiotics, we would go sit out in the sun. And then one day we decided to just get out of the house, all 155 pounds of me, to get out of the house. And we took all the kids to Wet and Wild, and we went with Mel and Jake. And, I slumped around, and, Jake went and got ice cream with me. And it was... I felt great. I felt great afterwards, and I was still pretty pale. So, but after that day, they tested my levels again, and they were almost normal. And my color had come back because liver failure. You get jaundice and you're yellow. I was yellow for like 2 months, and then the PICC line came out in May, and then I started to recover a bit, and I had several stent surgeries to try to get, because I was inflamed still, and nobody knew why.
All throughout the year, he kept going back to the hospital. He'd
get drained and stented and drained. I don't feel
good. I think I'm gonna go back to the hot. I was like, and every time I was like, go, don't think about it, just go. But they'd always send him home.
Yeah. So then we had an actual wedding in 2019. And there's a picture, me getting the yard ready, and I look back at it every now and then, and I'm fucking bloated. Yeah, I have this like 6-pack, but I'm trying so hard to flex it because I saw you taking a picture, but you could tell I'm just so bloated.
And even in the wedding pictures, his face looked so sick. Yeah, and I thought that, but I didn't want to say, "Hey, honey, you look so sick."
We had the wedding, and we got through that. I mean, not that we got through that. It was a beautiful thing.
It's the best day ever. Yeah. That was so much fun.
And so the week after we went on a 10-day vacation, we packed the kids up and took trailer.
Road tripped
it from, we started in where we live now.
Utah.
We started in Hurricane, and then we ended up in
Flagstaff. Well, at the campground, but we did. Flagstaff is where you started to feel like shit.
So we got to Flagstaff. It was like the last 3 days of our trip. We were 2 days in Flagstaff, and it just so much pain. Like, if I step too hard on my feet, like my right foot, I get this shooting pain in my abdomen. And I was like, fuck. So I limited my diet because I thought it was my diet because I was eating, we were on vacation, eating whatever was around, but mostly healthy because we were doing vegan at that time.
Yeah.
So it was weird why it started hurting. So we got home, And a couple days later, I had to go back to work. So I went to work one day.
Went to work when he feels like shit. Sure.
And I called Samantha at lunch and I was like, hey, I do not feel good. I think I'm going to go to the hospital after work. And she said,
no, you left at lunch. I'm pretty sure you left.
I know because he told me to.
Oh. Sorry.
I do whatever she tells me. I called and I said, hey, I don't feel good again. And I think I need to go to the hospital. I'm going to go after work. And she said, Corey, why don't you just go right now? And I said, yes, ma'am.
I didn't totally agree with him going into work in the first place.
Yeah. She told me I should went to the hospital because she like what I when I walk all ginger footed, because it happened a few times and I go to the hospital and get stented or drained. And like she could tell when I'm walking, like I don't want to step too hard. And she's like, go to the fucking hospital.
Because he walks like a beast.
Yeah. It's when I'm walking tippy toed. I'm either trying to be sneaky or I'm hurt. And it's usually because I'm hurt. Because I'm never trying. The only time I'm trying to be sneaky is when I'm trying to scare you.
Yeah.
But so I ended up going back to the hospital and they do the CT and they do all that stuff. And they're like, wow, you have a significant amount of fluid in your abdomen. I said, no shit. I've been dealing with this for about a year because it had been about a year. They're like, there's no way. I was like, yes, way. There's a long time since I've been doing this. And so they sent me, I went to like a Dignity Health free hospital or freestanding hospital. It wasn't like a big hospital, just like ER care, but more ER care. So I actually went to the VA hospital because I wanted all this to be taken care of through the VA. So I went to the VA hospital and that was a mistake. Because that doctor on duty was fucking bitch. I was like, I'm in a lot of pain. I showed her a picture of what I should look like and showed her, I was like, the doctor said I have fluid in my abdomen and it needs to go. And she's like, well, we don't have those capabilities, so we got to send you to the other hospital. I was like, cool. Literally, that's why I came here, for you guys to send me to another hospital. And so I went to the hospital and they immediately took me upstairs. It was beautiful. They took me upstairs and had me scheduled to be drained within being there for 2 hours.
Yeah, what hospital? That was a big
Southern
difference from
Hills.
Yeah, Southern Hills was great.
Like within 2 hours, I was checked in. I was in a room, a nice room, and I was being drained. And so we get to the draining room. That's weird to say, but we get to this room where they're going to drain my abdomen, and they're telling me all this stuff. At that time, I had finished my advanced EMT, so I knew the terms that they was trying to use. And he was like, it's ascites and all this stuff. It's, just fluid. It's built up. You get irritated and your stomach does this. And, you just have this fluid build up. And I was like, I know exactly what you're saying. However, I bet you it's pancreatic fluid. And he goes, there's absolutely no way. He's like, you would be dead. I was like, how long have you been dealing with this? A year? Yeah, you'd be dead. Okay, bud. So they get this, it's got to be like a 10 gauge needle and just jab it right in there. That's not how they do it. It's a whole science to it. But anyway, they poke me and it didn't come out as fast as he thought it would because it wasn't clear fluid. It hits these big, I think they were 2-liter bottles. And yeah, they were about the size of like a Coke bottle, like 2 liters. So they're 2-liter bottles. And it hits it, and then it starts, like, after it breaks the seal of that, it just starts flowing. And he's like, he looks at it, all concerned. He looks at me. He looks at it again. I'm going to go get the doctor. I say, yeah, you do that, bud. So he comes back. Doctor's like, yeah, why don't we test that? I said, it's pancreatic fluid. Doctor says, there's no way. They come back and they're like, hey, so we got to make sure we get all of this out of you because it's pancreatic fluid. And I was like, yeah, no shit, bud. So the first time they drained me, they drained 8 or 10.
8. And then they kept doing, like, every day they would do another liter
of fluid out of my abdomen. And it was gross. I have a picture. It's on my social somewhere. Find it. It's awesome. So they ended up draining, and within like 4 days, they drained 12 liters of pancreatic fluid out of my abdomen. And now I'm stuck. Nobody in Las Vegas, nobody in the state of Nevada has any idea what to do. Nobody's dealt with this issue before. And me, Samantha, are going back and forth with doctors of what to do. So the conclusion of all of our back and forth was I needed to have pancreatic redaction. They wanted to take half my pancreas away. But the pancreas regulates your insulin. So there was a problem there. It's like, hey, you could be a diabetic. And I was like, I don't fucking care. I'm tired of going to hospitals.
If they took that much out, they were saying you would be.
Yeah. I would be a diabetic. And I was like, it went back and forth. And I was like, well, all right, well, if somebody's going to do this, I want somebody who went to the highest possible school you can go to for this.
But they didn't send you because of that, like you demanding that. But nobody in Vegas.
Yeah, nobody in the state of Nevada could do it.
Yeah, and they couldn't find. They really couldn't.
They found that one doctor. Remember that one doctor, and he was like, he had never done it before. He wasn't a pancreas specialist.
Yeah.
He was a general trauma surgeon who wanted to perform the surgery. And I was like, absolutely not. Actually, you were absolutely not. And because remember, your friend had called you. She's like, he needs to go to a hospital where, like a research hospital, where they fucking pay these doctors.
We were trying to get you to
UCLA.
Yeah. And even Mayo. I was calling everybody.
So we were calling all these hospitals and so they wouldn't work with the VA. That's the whole problem is all this was going through the VA and the VA wouldn't approve any of that.
Which we could take them and, have forever vet bills, I almost said. Medical bills, but...
I am a stud.
That was good. But the problem was driving. Yeah. Because we didn't know if he... Like he couldn't go over the little when you're on a gurney at the hospital and the little tiny bumps in the way. That was massively painful. So the thought of driving 5 hours to LA, being in LA traffic, or going to Arizona to Mayo Clinic was like not only excruciating, it's beyond pain. He might not have made it. So that wasn't really an option.
No.
So we were sitting ducks.
But luckily through our resilience
and prayers like no other.
They found a doctor in San Francisco who was a doctor from UCSF, and he also worked with the VA. And for the life of us, we can't remember this doctor's name, but it doesn't matter. So I ended up getting flown to the VA hospital in San Francisco. And if you're a veteran in San Francisco, I am sorry. That is the worst.
Let's not talk crap about the hospital.
Fucking hospital.
At least it
ever.
It was right next to the ocean. So
not only was it next to the ocean, but it was next to a fort.
Yeah.
And we got I was there for 5 fucking weeks and we got to walk the grounds and it was cool. Everything outside of the hospital was amazing.
It was healing and it was very helpful for me because I was there with Bodie.
Yeah.
And he got to go around and play.
Oh my God. He had so much fun.
Yeah. We all had fun.
So, okay. So we get there and so the plan is for me to get half my pancreas cut out.
Well, they wanted to do the stent stuff, but nothing was working.
Right.
So the main doctor there was like, look, it'd be better you have no pancreas than be dead.
Right.
So he says, we're going to do it. Corey calls me. He's all excited. They're going to cut it out. This is going to be over soon. I'm so excited. I just want to eat and be normal. So I'll be diabetic. I don't care. At least I'll be here. We'll deal with that. And I was like, cool, we can deal with diabetes. And so we were relieved and seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. Doctor said it would take about 3 or so hours for the surgery. And I get a call. My phone rings like an hour later, if even that. And I was leaving the gas station and I answered it. And it's the doctor. It's not even like a nurse or an assistant. And my heart stops and some lady's honking at me because I froze. She gets out of her car to be like, excuse me. I was like, oh my God, this is why we need to be nice to people. So I pulled out and then I pulled around to a different parking lot. And he said, so when I cut your husband's stomach open, it looked like cotton candy inside. So his organs looked like cotton candy because essentially his body is digesting itself.
Not in color. Only in texture. because your organs are vibrant. They're supposed to be like really colorful, full of blood, and mine were not. It was gray scar
White.
tissue.
It was like white. Yeah. And it
The,
just,
one of the assistants showed me a video, and if you've ever watched the Discovery Channel when they're down deep, like in the Mariana Trench or something, or where light isn't available, and you touch the bottom of the ocean and that sand just comes up and does that plume.
Yeah, that's what his.
That was what it looked like.
I was like, there's nothing pink, and there was no organs. There was, you really can't explain it. Like,
No.
It was wild. So, but I got off the phone with him, and I said, okay, thank you for the info. And he said if he was to try and start stitching away, there's nothing to connect because nothing would hold a stitch because it was all cotton candy like texture. So the nurses called me and said, your husband's kind of having a meltdown and he's crying and he needs you if you could come here or talk to him. And I was like, yeah. So Bodhi and I were on our way back. We were in Sausalito. That's where we were staying. So we had to go over the bridge. So as I was driving there, got off the phone with the nurses, and Corey called me and he was very upset. In 2 years, he hadn't cried. He hadn't broke down. And then it was all, oh my God, it didn't work. Like he was so excited and so relieved something was finally going to work because he had all these stent surgeries and none of them freaking worked. So there was letdown after letdown after letdown. And finally he was like, yeah, they're going to cut this shit out. And then they're like, oh, even that won't work. And your shit looks fucked up inside. And so I went there and I was like, look, this is like a beautiful blessing, even though it doesn't seem like it, even though you think you're dying or you feel like that, this is your body's way of getting rid of all the toxic old emotions, old traumas, because everything that we go through and everything that we experience that's shitty, we ingest it, we swallow it, and we hold it in, especially people like this that do not cry. So he just bottled up every single thing that had happened to him in his whole freaking life. And so I said, instead of thinking that you're dying, think of all the old experiences and traumas are dying. So your organs are renewing themselves. And this is God's way of bringing you a new body, a new system, new structure in every way, like down to every little cell, right? Refreshing it. And I'd gone to the hospital and we talked about this and we were walking around. I think we did a video. You did a video that day.
I did.
And
we were outside and I was shooting it.
That night he called me and I said, you got to talk to me. Like, stop acting like you're Superman and talk to me. So he called me that night and he said, I'd stay the day with him, by the way. It's not like I was always gone, but I'd stay the day with him and then go, I call her my fairy godmother, to her house with Bodhi at night. And he was like, so I am freaking out because I think my body is trying to kill me because my organs are eating, or my body's eating up my organs. And I was like, okay, so you need to go walk with God. Like you need to get on another level and have a conversation and say, like, I want to live. If you want to live, you have to truly want to live in every fiber of your being and allow a full-on miracle to come and take the wheel right about now. And I was having a hard time because I was like, I don't even know what the fuck God is right now and blah, blah, blah. So I was talking to my dad and I was like, I'm so frustrated because nothing has been working. And my dad said, we had prayer chains and friends and like people that didn't even know him all over the United States, all over the world that were praying for Corey. And I mean, like some of the most epic friends that I have that just stepped in and were like, hey, we're sharing this with everybody. I had people saying, they dedicated their yoga session to Corey's healing. Like it was so humbling and I was so grateful. And then I was so angry because I was like, I don't fucking understand this. If God's helping us, why is nothing working? And I can't be a positive support to him if I'm melting over here. So I was talking to my dad. I was like, well, I don't get it. And he said, well, in Eastern beliefs, they say that if you can explain it, then it's not God. And I need to explain. Usually I need to be able to explain everything in detail and in depth. And so I was like, well, that would make sense because miracles aren't supposed to be explained and they don't make sense. And so that made sense to me. And I took that and I shared that with Corey. And I was like, that's the most beautiful description of God and the power that lies within that frequency and that energy that I've ever heard. And that morning, he woke up and called me and he said, I feel different. I walked with God and I had a conversation. Mind you, I am on tons of drugs, but I feel
I also
good.
did like I don't know, like a 4-hour meditation because I got nowhere to go. So
Nothing better to do.
I just zoned out with my meditation and my Dilaudid. And yeah, and then shit started coming together. They found Dr.
Like
Rain.
within a day. Like that day, I believe they called and said, or came in and talked to Corey and said, we have a doctor at UCSF.
Yeah, that can do the stent surgery, and this is his wheelhouse. This is what he does. He actually had a case earlier that year where a soccer player got hit in the chest and had a pancreas laceration, not as severe as mine and not in the same place, but he was able to stent it and he's still playing soccer. So
anyways, that's what should have happened to Corey.
Yeah, they should have stented it immediately. Looking like hindsight's 2020, right? But so I spent a couple more days in UCSF or the VA hospital,
and I had another like God Jesus talk, because after that I was going over the Golden Gate Bridge. Yeah, wait, is that the one? Is that the red one?
Yes.
Why am I thinking it's the other one?
The Oakland Bridge?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Whatever. I was going over that. I got to cross it every day because I was staying in Sausalito. And it was so powerful. Every time I'd go across it, I was like, the energy is crazy on that bridge. And so I was like, look, seriously, I am ready for this. Either take him because he's in so much pain. This isn't fair. And he can't live like this and he can't go on like this. So either take him or let's fucking do this. Like, well, I'm ready for either. I will support whatever, divine power is guiding on this. If God wants to take him, then fucking take him home. But let's not drag this out, so this poor guy can keep suffering. So I made my stance there, and Corey talked to him, and God, it was so quick. You were transferred that day, weren't you?
No, it was a few days after because they kept saying they were waiting for a bed. And I kept telling them, I was like, hey, there's going to be a bed available. And they're like, yeah, you might be here for a couple more weeks. And it wasn't. It was like a day. And then that's where it changed, is every time I would say something would happen and no one would believe that it was going to happen. So I told them I was going to leave that day.
Because we dove into faith and not fear.
Yeah. And I ended up leaving that night. And they were like, oh my God, there's a bed available.
At like
I was
12, huh?
Yeah, they woke me up. I was like in the middle of my Dilaudid dream. And they're like, all right, we got to unhook you and take you to the other hospital. I was like, fuck, man. I was like, duh, let's go. Shoot on over. So we shot on over. They got me all hooked up. They actually had to reduce my level of medication because in order for me to be in a regular room, I couldn't be on a drip anymore. So that was good. So they were able to take all the drugs away. Not all the drugs. I still had to get a shot every hour.
Anyways.
So we met this doctor. He was great. He said, he wasn't egotistical. He was like, hey, I just want to help. This is why I'm here. I'm here to help you. And went in.
Mustafa or Arain.
He did the surgery.
So cool.
And so he did the surgery early in the morning. And earlier that morning, I told the nurses, all right, I'm going to go home by Friday because I'm done. Well, I'm over.
Before, I wanted to tell about when we were in the room where all the art is.
Oh, yeah. So go ahead.
So before we had actually got to speak to the doctor, who he had like this accent and this energy and this aura about him, was very powerful but very humble. And we hadn't met him yet though. And we went into it was a cancer center, and there was all these cancer patients that did art, and they did very inspiring artwork to their story. And so we'd close our eyes and share. We'd look around or move our faces and find a a piece of artwork and share it. And the message that came through was that Corey needs to share his experience. And so that's what I said. I was like, I believe that you're supposed to live because you need to share your experience, and this is going to help other people in so many different ways and help you become a different person. He was like, yeah, I believe you're right. And I don't know if it was later that day or the next day. I think it was the following day. Dr. Rain was never like at the hospital to speak to patients or anything. We'd go sit outside in the sun and let Corey get all the sun he could. And he couldn't walk very much because of energy. And here comes Dr. Rain. I swear, like a beam of light was following him. And
we were sitting on the patio
so
and
nice.
he came out there.
Yeah. And he sat with us. And I was like, there's been so many doctors. Do you really think you can do this? And he was like, I'm not trying to brag. And it's really cool accent that I can't do. But that's why I'm here. That's why they have me at this hospital, because I do what everyone else can't do. And I was like, that's cool. Okay, we're good. So then they scheduled, and Corey was talking to the nurses, and they thought he was so cute.
Yeah, because my goal is to be home by June 1st. After that conversation with Samantha and talking to God and my 4-hour meditation, I had a date in my head that I'd be home was June 1st.
And that was like Friday.
Yeah, it was Saturday was June 1st. The Friday was like the 31st, I think. But the surgery actually got moved from a Tuesday to a Wednesday. So the chances of me going home on the 1st were even reduced because they had to, schedule my surgery one day out. And I was like, that's fine. That's fine. It's going to work, and I'm going to heal, and I'm going to be okay, and I'm going to be able to eat, and then I'm going to go home. And then the nurses are like, oh, you're so cute.
Yeah, and they really were. They were like, oh,
yeah, they were like telling, they thought I was going to be there forever. So they were telling me their life stories and all this other stuff, and really got to know them, and they got to know me, and it was good times. But my plan wasn't to stay there forever. So
he did have a really nice room with a big old
TV. Oh yeah, it
TV.
Was sweet. It was like a suite.
Yeah.
It was like a studio really nice apartment. It was great.
Great views.
Except for I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So they do the surgery, and it ended up being a successful surgery.
He called me in the morning, and he said, the morning after the surgery.
No, it was that same day. They did the surgery in the morning, and I called you later that day because I got to the room after recovery, and they're like, all right, it's a little after lunchtime, but if you want to order food, we would recommend you order food, something light, just so you could start the process.
So we got a burger.
So I got a burger and fries.
And he was like, I ate it and it didn't hurt.
But I didn't eat the bread. I just ate like a half of the burger. And I was like, I don't feel pain.
Yeah.
I'm healed. Hallelujah. Praise Jesus.
And that was Thursday?
That was Wednesday.
Wednesday.
So Thursday comes around, and the travel nurse from the VA comes in, and she tells me, she's like, hey, I got good news and bad news. She's like, the good news is we can send you home. And I was like, all right, well, what's the bad news? She's like, we can't send you home on the 1st. And I was like, all right. She's like, but we can send you home tomorrow. I was like,
which was Friday.
Let's fucking do it. I was like, hell yeah. Where are all the nurses at? Come here. Yeah. I'm going home.
And they were like, oh, what?
But so the one that worked the night shift, she came in, and I told her, and she's like, no way. I was like, yeah, I told you. I told you I was going home.
That's some faith right there.
But yeah, after that conversation at the VA hospital in San Francisco, it all became faith, not fear-based.
And surrender. There's, a lot of people are like, oh, I have faith, and they're trying to force something to happen. But it's faith in the process and surrendering to the larger path. And then you'll know there'll be a clear understanding and a knowing that this is what's going to happen. And that's what clicked with Corey. He surrendered. I surrendered. And we just led with faith. And it was one of those, hey, if I'm going to die, cool. If I'm not, then cool. Let's make a this way or that way, and it
Yeah.
went this way, and then he just knew. He was like, I'm gonna live and I'm gonna have a great life and I'm going home Friday.
Yeah. And then even after that, a bunch of things started changing because I went back to work. I slowly got healthier. And then later that year, I quit my job because it was one of those things. It was Samantha was telling me we didn't want to be there anymore. Oh, no, wait, that was the next year. No, wait, I'm sorry. It was the end of that year. It was 2019. At the end of the year, after being healthy and nearly dying, put different things in my mind. And I didn't want to be a slave to the machine anymore. And I wanted to work on us, do our thing, and build our empire. And you can't build your empire if you're working for somebody else. So I put in my 2 weeks. Actually, I had to put in 90 days because I was a senior manager. And in 2020, we did us, and we ended up moving. We bought a house. We bought a ranch.
We went on a 10-day
We went
vacation
on
to
a 10-day
California.
vacation to California.
We went on a vacation to Utah.
And it was really a trauma into triumph because we accomplished so many things in a year that was devastating to many because they were fucking scared.
Yeah,
but we weren't scared. We were
none of anything.
We dove into everything that we did with all of the faith. And like, if you remember the last episode, it was, the parachute is your plan. We didn't jump out of the airplane without a parachute. We were like, hey, we want to do something for us. We were our plan. We wanted to dump our resources into building our ranch, into building the campground, into getting the fuck out of Vegas, to making sure our kids are okay, our horses, our dogs, everything. We wanted to focus on us. And we didn't let the fear of losing the stability of having a 9-to-5 ruin the things that we could build.
And even today, if we were to lose the ranch or lose all that stuff, none of that stuff has a hold on us. It's all a complementary addition to who we are and because our purpose is to serve humanity and serve others. That is what we are here to do. And our situation, and it's unfolding more and more, is here to serve and create ways to help people, period. But if we were not going about it in the right way and allowing, basically, it's the faith
without control.
Faith with surrender is the ultimate form of living a blissful life, because you'll be guided in ways that you're like, holy crap. And through the experience of so much death on the doorstep, but we made those 2 years fun. We made the hospital times fun. We had a good time. Corey was on enough drugs to not be in pain. And I had a good enough attitude to really cherish all those moments with Bodie and Corey and just life. Like, life gives you these moments that they can be hard. And, man, I was carrying around luggage and babies and diaper bags and all that stuff.
In the middle of crime-ridden San Francisco.
I had nightmares.
Super white girl with a little tiny baby in this fucking little economy car, driving around, parking next to drug deals and people
guys peeing everywhere.
Fuck, dude.
And cops all over the place, and had to walk to the hospital.
But we weren't about that. We were,
we made it fun. It was so much fun. Yeah. Like, all of that. I don't have regret or
no regrets
or
no regrets.
No regrets. And then what was I gonna say? The surrender to where we're at. Oh, the foundation. Our foundation on everything that we move. Faith and surrender is our driving. Like, that's how we move forward. But our foundation is being healthy and being together. That's literally it. That is, if you have a peaceful heart and peace of mind, and you are together, that means you are healthy. That means you are happy. And what the fuck else matters? Everything will fall into place if you have your health and you are happy. You have your family. if you're building a family, if it's just you, it's been just myself before. And I lived on finding that as my solace, me. And now Corey and I have come together and through our journeys, and it's staying humble and staying grounded and knowing that as we expand and great things come, they're complementing our lives and our experiences. But they don't make up who we are. What makes up who we are is the kind of people, the kind of things we think about when our head hits the pillow at night, the way we treat each other, the way we feel throughout our days and carry ourselves. And it all stems to health. Yeah. Health is body, mind, and spirit. You have to have the trifecta.
Yeah. Because I mean, if any one of them's out of balance, your shit's broken. And my shit was broken at that time. And I went through a lot within myself. It wasn't, I didn't do it. I didn't do it because Samantha told me to do it. I did it because it made sense to do it. And
he stepped into his truth. It was his own.
And when you're facing, when the other option is death, what do you have to lose? And then, but you could put anything on that other side. It's like, oh, if you get fired, what do you have to lose?
Seriously,
want to be a better person. If you lose your significant other, what do you have to lose? People put these strong attachments on things and people, and Samantha and I love each other to death, but like we make sure that it's you, me, and us, right? That's our thing, is you, me, and us.
We choose to be together. We don't have to be together.
She is her person. I am my person, and we are together, and we love each other without attachment and needing that need for someone else to fulfill you is just, it's just, that's just your mind playing tricks on you, because you shouldn't need anybody except for yourself, your health, your mental health, your physical health. Those are the only things that should be fueling you.
And when you everything have kids, else you need your kids.
Well, yeah, but everything else is extra. Like you have to be whole, right? You you can't fill up someone's cup if your cup's not full. No,
and that's so important.
But and your cup belongs to you. That's your cup. That's not our cup. She has her cup. The kids have their cup. I have my cup. Everyone has their cup.
And then we have overflowing cups that then fill into another cup. That is our intention, is to share.
Like our cup is here, and then we have cups outside, and these are the cups that we share.
Yeah.
Right. And then this is my cup.
Overfloweth.
But this is my cup.
Yeah.
And
it's mine.
My cup.
It's my cup. It's big man cup, and hers is not a big man cup. It's pretty cup.
Yeah.
It's got horses
yours is a
on
pretty
it.
cup. Mine is a man cup. Mine's a chalice.
It's an unbreakable one, because Corey would break it if it wasn't.
This is true. It's not made out of porcelain or ceramic.
No.
Mine is a metal cup.
Yeah.
With horns on it, because horns are cool.
Because they're cool.
But yeah, trauma into triumph, man.
Don't allow anything to break you. Allow your trauma to make you. I didn't mean to make that.
Is that the emojis of clapping people?
Sweet baby Jesus.
But also, if you're out telling your story because you want people to feel sorry for you, you're a piece of trash. You should tell your story.
Stop being a victim, really.
Yeah, God.
It's a victim mindset. Everybody's over the victim mindset.
That's part of your mental health. That's part of your mental health is if you are telling your story because you feel like you're a victim and you're telling it because you want to get victim points, you're a piece of trash.
And the only people that want to listen to that garbage are other victims. So you're just going to be like, well, my story.
Yeah.
And you're just going to sit there, and then you're going to feel drained after talking to them. Like, lift yourself up and, first, before sharing your story, heal yourself and find other people that have succeeded and that are willing to help you, lift up, and then share your story with the intention to help others. It's good stuff.
Because this is almost 3 years since this has happened. Since the last time I was in the hospital. So it's almost 4 years since it actually happened. And this is I've done some posts on social media like, hey, before and afters of being sick and being healthy, but for the most part, I haven't like put it out there at all because I don't want. I myself didn't want to feel like I was preaching victimhood when I wanted to inspire people, and I'm in a place now where I feel like if I could face death and tell it to fuck off and build an empire after that, then anyone can.
And sort of from it, using it as a foundation. I was told when I was at a tough spot in my life that I was like, I'm at rock bottom and this is so hard. And someone said, when you're at rock bottom, that's God and that's your foundation. What's better than building? God is the rock at the bottom, and you build your foundation on that solid platform, and then you build.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what we opted to do. It was, and you were in the hospital for so long. It just seemed like that was life. And
it was in that moment.
But we never, when did we ever complain? I don't ever remember complaining about any of it.
We didn't then, and we don't now. So, I mean, we've been grateful for the whole experience. It's made us different people and the best kind of people.
Yeah. So turn your trauma into your triumph. No matter what it is. Yeah. I have a lot of traumas. I don't think I'll share them. They were, I mean, people can always reach out, but I turned all of them. I'd always think about when I was in the midst of it, I was miserable, but I would say that I knew one day I'd be able to share this with others to help them. And so I always gave gratitude, even in the middle of my misery. I was like, I know this is going to pay off. I know it will pay off. And it is. And I currently have been able to reach out to some women and shed some hope and some light on their situations so they don't feel so lost, and then drag it out. Like, let's fucking heal, y'all.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
that. 57 minutes.
57 minutes.
We did good.
All right.
All right.
That's all we got for today. Pay it forward. If you dug it, if you got something out of it,
dig it, dug it.
Dig it, dug it, good. Whatever.
Dig it, dug it, got it, good.
What do you call a guy laying on a yard? Laying on your yard.
Anything?
What do you call a guy laying on your front porch with no arms, no legs? Matt. What do you call a guy with no arms and no legs laying on your yard? Doug.
What's the one I used to tell? That was really
I'm gonna go over time telling jokes.
So? Well, I'll say the note. What is it?
I don't know.
Sally.
I don't remember.
Damn it. It's so funny. I taught it. It was like the first one I talked to Scarlett. She was like 6. It was so
all right. So
good.
That's today's show. If you dig it, dug it, pay it forward. And that's all we got for you. Till next time.
Bye.
You not got peace anymore?
I don't know. You said we got to change it.
I just said don't do the peace up, A-Town down.
Well, you're the one that always does that.
All right. Peace.